Good morning, everybody. We are back. The Big Men Camps. We are live. NFL Week 9 podcast. Ryan, we're halfway through the season basically, and that only means it's daylight savings time. It's getting dark early. The 4 o'clock games are shuttered by darkness. It's the NFL Week 9. We're back with you live. My name is the Big Men on Campus, joined by the much talked about, better than ever, Ryan D'Amico. Ryan, how you doing today?
Hey, thanks for the build-up. Appreciate that. No, I'm doing good. You're right. And it's funny because we saw it a little bit yesterday this is one of my favorite parts of the year because, and you and I have talked about it before, because there's nothing better than when you go to a 4 o'clock game and at halftime the lights come on and it just has that sort of aura about it that's unlike, the first half of the season. And we saw it yesterday with the 3:30 games in college. So, This is a great time of the year for sure, and I know a lot of people are excited about it. College is getting into the heart and the meat of kind of trying to decipher who's going to be in the college football playoff. And then, of course, after today, every team, I should say, in the NFL will be halfway through their season. So we're really kind of churning along here, and we've done well in the NFL over the last couple weeks. You'll get into those numbers. So hopefully we build off of that and we keep it going for everyone that's kind of tailing us.
Yeah, we've had 1 or 2 bad weeks on this show, but we've, for the most part, we give a play for every game. We've done very well over the last couple weeks, and mostly in this show in general. I mean, we've had a lot of winning weeks, and the last 2 weeks have been really good. 14-6 we've hit, and again, those are plays. Again, if we have a game where we disagree on, those won't count because they just equal out. But 2 weeks ago we went 8-3. Last week 6-3. So doing pretty well. And again, we're giving free selections for every game. So again, that take that for what it's worth. But you love the NFL, you study it. Me, I kind of just bet on it. I don't really. I wouldn't say I'm in love with the league or anything. What did I do last Sunday, Ryan?
Yeah,
did I watch any of the games?
Didn't do much, that's for sure.
I didn't. I was in my room and I was watching, I think, American Sniper or something. I don't. The Eagles are about all I watch. I don't really care otherwise. I just put my games in and that's it. But shout out to everyone out there listening. I do appreciate it. Whether you're a new listener, you love the show, you just listen to Fade, whatever. Thanks for listening. Hope whatever you do today makes you money. Ryan, first of all, before we get into it, I do want to shout out our good friend Sean Harnish. Sean had a great day yesterday on the website. He I think he was 7-0 at one point. I think finished at 7-2 on the day for 7.5 units or 8-2 plus 7.5 units. Great job.
Fantastic.
Really good stuff. I know you tailed one of his hockey plays.
Yeah, which was an easy winner.
Yeah, it was an easy winner. He's doing very well at the site, and
he has another big play today on the ice. So he
was
was kind of talking about late last night that.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you guys, I want to promo this. If you're out there listening, the play Sean has today, I remember he's told me about this for a long time. This is a trend that's very difficult to break, and the play today he has, I really. He's told me about it for a long time. I bet it a lot last year. It works. So, me yesterday, Ryan, I went 2-3, and I had a brutal beat in that Baylor game over. Or not Baylor, Texas over.
Yeah.
It's a rough one there, to say the least. Also had a teaser. Texas A&M decided they didn't want to play like the number 4 team in the country yesterday. But we'll get into college a little bit later. I just wanted to say, though, Sean doing really good stuff.
For sure.
Feel free to head over, C2C Sports Firm. Give us a try, and I'll tell you what, Ryan, I told this yesterday in SBR Forum, and I'll say it again today. If you go over to the website, you get the 3-day service, $50, and you do not win, Jeff, will give you your money back.
There you go.
I mean, I'm not scamming anybody.
Right. Yeah.
You don't win, I'll give you your money back.
Sounds good enough to me.
I mean, what else? At any rate, see what Sean's doing. Sean's doing some great things.
Right.
So, for whatever you want to do, feel free to do it. But this show, Ryan, is about free plays. Let's jump into it here and see if we can't get it going.
Yep.
Let's try to hit every game today. Let's try. Because I got to tell you, I kind of like the card. I studied it for about an hour and a half here before the show, and I'm looking forward to it. If you want to communicate with us, you have a question about a game or a point you want to make, jump on the chat box. Shadi K, a loyal listener, he's already on there. Stephen Hughes, another loyal listener, he's on there. Sean, there he is. He's on there. Shout out to Jimmy Reno. He's on there. Let's jump into it, Ryan. 1 o'clock Eastern. Kansas City Chiefs minus 7 in the hook against the Jags. Over under 44. This has been around 7-ish. Mostly at 7.5 and 8. But, I think a lot of the talk here is Chiefs have played well. I mean, they're playing well, Ryan. 5-2. How about Nick Foles comes in last week?
Yep.
The forgotten son goes out to Andy Reid out there in Kansas City and had a good game last week. He's going to play today and start for Kansas City. Last week, 60 for 22, 223 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, a lot of people say, well, it's the Colts defense. Jags aren't much better on defense. So you got to think this Jags team's falling fast. I mean, they're not very good. I think a lot of people were quick to anoint them as possibly an up-and-coming team. They're not very well coached. Blake Bortles makes a ton of mistakes. And on defense, they just haven't been very good. You look at the fact that over the last 4 games against the AFC West, they're 0-4. And they're not good against the spread either. They can't score. And defensively, they've had issues. Defensively, this team's given up 28 points a game. And, they're just not a lot to look forward to. I know they had that win in London, but I think that was a game Indianapolis just kind of lost. Chiefs are playing very well in defense. Last 3 games, giving up just 15 points a game. And, Ryan, they've been demolishing opponents. Last 4 wins, 4 to 5, about double digits. So they're winning games and they're winning them handily. Chiefs have won 9 straight at home. I'm going to lay it here with the Chiefs. I think they win this one by double digits. Jags are just look. I think they're one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, other than maybe the Browns, I'm just not sure that there's a worse team than this team. I'm going to go Kansas City in this one.
Yeah, I would lean Kansas City as well. Nick Foles is playing. We obviously know all about Nick Foles from his time in Philly, and I believe this is his 37th career start. So it's not like this is a backup coming in that only has a handful of starts in the NFL. I mean, he has upwards of almost 40 starts in the NFL. So he's been there. He knows what he's doing. He's familiar with Andy Reid a little bit. And Andy Reid's offenses, as you've seen in Kansas City and then going back to Philly, they're very quarterback friendly. So I don't look for Nick Foles to come in and struggle really at all today. Jeremy Maclin, who's kind of dinged up, he's good to go today. So that's a weapon they have. They got Travis Kelce going last week, and they got him going particularly with Nick Foles. Earlier in the year, Travis Kelce has kind of been non-existent, and you kind of look at Alex Smith not really looking his way, but with Foles in there, he comes in and just throwing darts to Travis Kelce, so maybe you get him going. He's a dynamic weapon. So I don't think they fall off too much offensively, and defensively, they shouldn't have too much trouble with this Jacksonville offense. This is a team that fired their offensive coordinator after that just embarrassing performance on Thursday night against Tennessee. And so they try to kind of get a spark going there. Blake Bortles has just been really inconsistent. The only time he does well this season is in the fourth quarter in garbage time and saves fantasy football players games for them. So with this game, I like the way Kansas City's playing. Jacksonville, not a good road team over the years. I really can't back them right now. Kansas City, Arrowhead's always a tough place to go and play. So I'll take Kansas City minus that 7.5. I don't think it's too bad of a number. Most of the time you see a touchdown in the NFL, people kind of overreact. I don't think that's a terrible number, to be honest.
No, and it's made clear that, they've won, 4 or 5 by double digits. So that getting it up over 10 has not been a big thing. Kansas City actually down to 7, Ryan, at certain books. So we're going to go with 7 here. Obviously, the game hasn't kicked off yet, so we haven't made our plays yet either. Right. So let's go Chiefs minus the 7 in this one. Good number. Definitely prefer that. Either way. Jaguars have been good at keeping tight ends at bay this season. They scored just 1 touchdown while catching 27 of their targets. Yeah, that's a good
Shame
point.
They can't stop anyone else. But.
Correct. And, Nick Foles showed from his time in Philly, a lot of it was much maligned towards the end, but he had a great year the one year. Yep. So I think he'll be just fine in that offense. So we'll go Kansas City minus the 7 in that one. Got to wonder, I guess sharp money's bringing that down. I don't really, the line opened 8.5. It's down to 7.
It did, yep.
Chiefs have looked like a pretty public side. I guess that's sharp money. It's definitely sharp money bringing it down.
Right.
I'll take my shot here.
Yep.
Next one, 1 o'clock Eastern. Minnesota Vikings minus 6 against the Lions. Over under is 42. Minnesota. One thing you can rest on with them is, I know lately they haven't looked too good, Ryan, but they are very effective against the spread. 15-5 at home over the last 20 games. They've covered 5 of 7 this year, and over the last 3 years, Ryan, a very profitable 29-11 to the number. So, if you're a Viking fan, you've been making a lot of money if you've been betting on them over the years. Detroit has struggled on the road, covering just 1 of 4. They're the best defense in the NFL, Minnesota, giving up just 12 points a game at home. They're going to be tested here, though. Stafford, we know, has really had some great games this year, but he's also looked bad. I mean, last week he didn't look good at all. He's very inconsistent. He'll look really good for 3 weeks, and then for 2 weeks he'll just kind of fade. And I think that's kind of what you're going to get with Stafford. He's either all or nothing, and you'd have to think here he's probably going to be closer to nothing. He struggled last week against Houston, Houston a very good pass defense. Same with Minnesota. Now you got to go on the road here off of a loss. Another tough game. I actually kind of like, Ryan, that Minnesota made a change at offensive coordinator. They weren't doing anything. Norv Turner just couldn't get the job done.
Well, he resigned, actually. He just said, I'm out of here.
Well, I think that was one of those things where they probably went to him and said, look, why don't you walk away peacefully here?
Sure.
But to bring in Pat Shurmur, who Sam Bradford, he scouted him coming out of college, worked with him in Philadelphia. Shurmur and him have good relationships. You have to think that's going to give this offense a little bit of a shot in the arm, if you will. Like I said, history with Bradford. But, for me, I'm going to go under, Ryan, in this game, 42. I think you look at the Lions, 14 of 19 on the road have gone under, and this Vikings team has been a total under-trender over the last couple of years. Bad offense, good defense, 27-12 to the under over the last 3 years. I'm going to go under 42. I think, Ansa and Haloti Ngata coming back is going to help them up in the front line. This Vikings team can't get out of their own way offensively. And you saw last week the Lions against a good defense, they struggled. I'm going to go under 42 in this game.
Yeah, I would go. That's actually the direction I'd go. I'd go under. I'm not really interested in a side, the way the Vikings are playing, particularly offensively. Detroit gets some of their defensive guys back. Just some ATS numbers just really kind of pointing in the direction of under here. Detroit, 5 of their last 19 have gone under.
14 of 19. They're 14 of 5.
Yeah, sorry. 14 of 19 have gone under. And you look at Minnesota, kind of the same thing. A lot of trends pointing them against conference opponents or teams in the NFC. 22 of 30 have gone under. Divisional games, 11 of 14 have gone under. So a lot of unders here. I think in the Philly game I had the under in that game as well. Like the Minnesota against the Eagles, a game that went under. So unders in Minnesota. I don't think you can't go very wrong. And especially this year, you look at the all the games played with Minnesota. Only 2 games have gone over on the season. I like under. Pretty cut and dry, I think, in this matchup.
I mean, the Vikings only have allowed 6 passing touchdowns all year. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I'm just not quick on a side to go with the Vikings. I just can't do it. I'm going to try to teach people things, too. Right now with the Vikings, I just don't really see a reason to back them. Even in a teaser, I can't get involved with them just to win. I don't
weapons offensively.
Yeah, I can't trust them at all. I'm just not. You have to think. Shermer's going to kind of throw in some short routes, that kind of thing, some screens, that kind of thing. But I'm not sure that they're going to throw the ball down the field much. I just don't think they can really kill you offensively. And I'm hoping Darius Slay's back. That would be big.
Right.
For the Lions. But I think either way, both these teams are going to struggle to score. I'm going to go with under 42, and you would agree with me here.
Yep.
You guys know what you're talking about. Thank you. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate that, Long Will. Next one, Ryan. 1 o'clock, Giants -3 against the Eagles, over under 43.5. Both teams at 4-3, Ryan. I think for both teams, particularly the Eagles, this is a must-win. The Eagles, this is probably the most important game thus far for the Eagles, I think. I don't know about you. They can't afford to go 0-3 in this division. They can't. It is a track to no playoffs. I'm not sure they can make the playoffs. Again, though, the NFC's not great, so you never know. But they have to win this game. You would agree with that, right? As a fan, you would have to agree.
I felt like the last 3, including this one, so the last 2, including this one here,
right.
Have kind of been must-wins.
And they haven't.
They've won one of the last 2, which was the Minnesota game. They lost last week. So, yeah, I definitely think this is a must-win if you kind of want to go where your goals are set. So.
Right, and again, but again, the Giants 4-3 as well. This is a pretty important game in this conference as well, because at the end of the year, it's all about tiebreakers, and you would have 3 losses to all 3 teams. Not good for the Eagles if they do this. Problem with the Eagles, though, they're just not a very good road team, Ryan. I mean, they're 9-11 straight up over the last 3 years on the road. Yeah. The good thing is, though, they have dominated the New York Giants. They've won 4 in a row against them and covered those games as well. They've just dominated the Giants. I remember last year, I think it was last year, 2 years ago, that one game in Philly, it was they had a ton of sacks.
27-0, I think.
Yeah, Eli Manning just could not do anything. Concerning, though, Ron, because, this offensive group of receivers for the Giants, pretty effective. And Odell Beckham has been extremely effective at home versus on the road. At home, 23 catches, 429 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On the road, Ryan, 12 catches, 152 yards. He just plays a lot better at home, which, if I was a professional, I probably would too, and most do. The problem is, though, the Giants just don't score a lot of points. 20 points or less in 5 of 7 this year. And against a passing defense that ranks, I think, 5th in the league, the Eagles need to come to play today in the secondary. They have to get pressure because we know with Eli Manning, when you give him pressure, he struggles. They cannot run the football. They're one of the worst teams in the league running the ball, Ryan. We know that. They have been for years. I mean, ever since Tiki Barber left, this team has not had any sort of running game. None. And with the way the Eagles have owned this team, look, I'm not high on this team. They've had flashes, but that's a tough loss last week. Now you got to go on the road, go to a place in New York, which, look, they have dominated the Giants. But Carson Wentz, they need to open the offense up. These receivers, Ryan, I did hear throughout the grapevine, and I think that's what's nice about being an Eagle fan. You kind of hear your ear to the wall where a lot of national people don't hear it. This team, there's a new feel in the locker room after they got rid of Josh Huff, from what I understand. Yep. They're not happy, but I think a lot of people are relieved. Kind of get some bad tension out of there. And now you see that the organization makes the decision when they need to. Okay, we mentioned Josh Huff needed to go, and they made the decision.
It basically tells the locker room that, look, the ownership, the coach staff's not fucking around.
Correct.
To kind of just cut to the point. It means they're not fucking around, and that kind of thing that puts all the players on notice.
That's correct. I think they open it up. Doug Peterson listened to the media. He heard what was going on. This town is not happy with the play calling right now. I think, as a resilient team, I feel like they bounce back here. I'm going to take the 3 points here with the Giants, or with the Eagles here, I'm sorry. I think this game will be close nonetheless, and I'll take the 3 points with, I think, the slightly better team. I think the Eagles are a slightly better team than the Giants. I'm going to go with them here, but I'm not in love with this game. I'm not going to be.
Yeah, I've been pretty good as far as my gut feelings with the Eagles this year. Liked them against Pittsburgh, liked them against Minnesota. If you listen to the show, I didn't like them last week. Actually, Jeff almost hit the score right on the head. I said 27-23 Cowboys.
Yeah, you gave out the over.
Yeah, but I didn't pick side. I gave out the over, which came through. In this game, though, my gut feeling says I like the Eagles in this spot. I'm not overly impressed with the Eagles either. I'm not overly impressed with the Giants. Very one-dimensional team as far as running the ball. I mean, their leading rusher hasn't played since week 3. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing. The Eagles' pass rush should be able to have a field day. The Giants' offensive tackles are really kind of a weak point of this team, kind of really struggling right now. Brandon Graham should be able to have another big day, and whoever they rotate on the other side, whether it's Connor Barwin or whoever, should also, I think, have a big game. They should be able to get to Eli. The success that they've had recently over the Giants is predicated on the fact that they've been able to get to Eli Manning, get in his face, and disrupt him. And when no quarterback likes getting disrupted, but especially Eli Manning, because he'll give you plenty of opportunities for takeaways. And I kind of expect the same thing today. The Eagles secondary has played better too than I think people have expected. Nolan Carroll has had a nice year, and Jalen Mills, a 7th round pick, he's kind of been up and down for as the most part, he's been playing pretty well in my opinion. I think the Eagles kind of opened the playbook up a little bit today. Giants secondary has played better too than I think some people thought, but I think they opened the playbook up a little bit today. Let Carson Wentz throw the ball downfield a little bit, which I think they need to do, at least portray the fact that they're going to go down the field, take a shot once or twice, and say, hey guys, Giants, we're here to throw the ball downfield. That's always something you're going to have to think about. I think they'll do that. And I think the Eagles win this game somewhere around 24-20, somewhere in that area. I'll gladly take the 3 points.
If the Eagles go and win this game, they're 5-3. Look, the Cowboys are moving on. I mean, they're going to play the Browns, say they're probably going to win.
Exactly.
They're going to go to 8-1. You can't continue to lose games. I mean, you have to win. You can go to 5-3 and get the second place.
It's a big game. It's a big
game
for both
it's
teams.
Huge. And, it's time to seize the moment for the Eagles. I mean, they've been in these positions year after year. Like last week, you had an opportunity. You didn't get the job done. You have to get the job done today.
And I think, people talk about bye weeks in the NFL, and the Giants are coming off of a bye week. I think, though, the fact that, and I don't know, this is just my opinion, I think the fact that the way the Eagles lost last week, they have that pissed off taste in their mouth,
Yes.
that bitter taste in their mouth. They get to come right back and face another divisional game, another big game. Whereas the Giants have just been kind of sitting around, for last week and get back to it this week. I think the Eagles just are a little bit more focused, a little more motivated for this game. But hey, it's a 3-point game, 3 points for the home field. Obviously, Vegas thinks it's a toss-up and it can go either way, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm going to side with the Eagles here, though, and you would agree. Next one. Philly, best defense against tight ends in the NFL. Yeah, the problem is, though, the Giants are going to throw. They don't have, I don't even know who their tight end
Larry
is.
Donnell still.
Yeah, I think good, Sean. That's great. Awesome. Next one. Much talked about game here in this one. A lot of people want to take the Browns in this game. How's that worked out for you this year?
People try to get cute and take
yeah,
the Browns.
and that's the problem. I mean, look, at the end of the day, this could lose, but Cowboys are laying 7 here against the Browns. Now, this looks like your prototypical trap game. Cowboys have been at home for a while. It seems like they're set. What are they? 7-1, 6-1.
They're 7-1 straight up, and they're
Right.
equally as good. They're 6-1 straight up, and they're equally as good.
Right.
6-1 ATS.
And again, we have no idea how and what goes on behind the scenes at the NFL. We're here to break down a game on the field, okay, and what we think is going to happen. Are we right every time? No. But to take the Browns here is like kind of just settling for the girl at the end of the night that's not that hot. Set your sights on the best of the best. That's how I look at it, Ryan. Me, I look at myself. Not a good-looking guy. Pretty kind of overweight. I might not have the look a lot of girls want, but I'll tell you what, Ryan. When it comes down to the bitches, I look for the best of the best, and you do too, right?
All right.
You can't set your sights on shit. You might not be gold, but you got to look for gold. Okay,
Right.
It's all about gold. And do you really want to put your money in the hands of the Browns? They're even a shitty name, the Browns. What color is shit, Ryan?
Yeah, no,
brown.
no.
Okay, do not. Again, if you don't like the Cowboys here, you think there's something going on, don't bet the game. That's a good idea.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to break it down to you. Cowboys have covered 3 in a row on the road this year in 3 road games. The Cleveland Browns are one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They allow 143 rush yards per game. Ryan, what's the over-under today on Ezekiel Elliott rushing yards? It's got to be pretty high. What do you think, 300?
I wouldn't put it that high.
They're giving up almost 5 yards per rush attempt. Cowboys are pretty good on defense, Ryan. Good against the run. This defense has been decent. And Cody Kessler, I mean, do you really worry about Cody Kessler here?
Yeah, no.
I'm not putting my hands in the money of the Browns. I'm sorry. Cowboys roll 34-17. I mean, I can't trust this. This defense is awful. Cowboys
Yeah, I
should
hear
roll.
ya.
This could be a trap game. I don't think it is. I'm probably not going to bet the game, but I like the Dallas Cowboys here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of just how things work out in this game. If there's one area, I'll just start off by saying this: if there's one area maybe the Browns can exploit, if you're one of those guys that's leaning Browns here, maybe there's one area that they can exploit here is the secondary where a couple injuries really kind of are taking the toll with the Cowboys, and it'll be interesting to see how that works out playing forward. Both Barry Church and Morris Claiborne are out for extended periods of time after suffering injuries. So it'll be interesting to see if Kessler and Terrell Pryor, who's been fantastic as a wide receiver, if they can kind of exploit that a little bit, which the Eagles didn't try to do last week for whatever reason, didn't try to throw the ball downfield at all. Be interested to see if the Browns take some shots downfield, which I think would be in their best interest. However, offensively, I'm not sure how the Browns are really going to stop Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, Des Bryant's back now, and I'm just not sure how they're going to get stops and and keep this game close. I would lean Cowboys here. It's definitely it's definitely one of those patented trap games, though. You're coming off a big emotional overtime win. Now you got to go on the road to the worst team in football. It seems like one of those games that should be played within 4 to 7 points, but definitely a game I won't be involved in. But for the sake of the podcast where we pick every game, I would lean the Cowboys here. I would lean Dallas. Cleveland's just not very good, and just that quarterback carousel they got going on. And they trade for Jamie Collins this week, like that's going to do something for them.
What's his mindset going to Cleveland?
They're just a bad organization, yeah.
Kind of I got to tell you, I get the Patriots just they're kind of an organization. They just do what they have to do, but
yep.
That's not really a respectful thing to do, I guess.
Well, it sounded like
I get that it's a business. But
I read a report this morning that it sounded like his playing time was going to get cut significantly, and that was part of the reason why they traded him, because they didn't want a kind of a turmoil in the locker room, him getting pissed off and kind of bringing the team down. So that's the reason they traded him. That's what the report was this morning. So
yeah, I just what's his mindset going there?
You go from a team that can win the Super Bowl
to the worst team in the league,
a team that doesn't have a win,
right? And they're not going to win today.
That's
either.
a shame.
Dallas Cowboys rolling this.
That's where I would lean. Yeah.
1 o'clock Eastern, Miami Dolphins -4 against the New York Jets, over under 44.5. Miami off a bye in this one. Jets are off a win, but again, it was against
Cleveland, right?
The Cleveland Browns, right? Cleveland was up in that game, but of course
they were 20-7.
Yep, but of course blow the lead and lose.
Remember when they were up against the Ravens?
Right.
Just another.
Yeah,
that's why they're the Browns.
They would have to have a perfect scenario to get a win this year, in my opinion. They've messed up against Tennessee. They messed up in several other games. But to Miami here, they're off a bye, playing well at home, won 3 of 4 this year, and look, they've played much better recently. 2 wins before the bye against Buffalo and Pittsburgh. Jay Ajayi, magical. Boise State guy coming into Miami and playing well, 200 yards or more in 2 straight games. Problem here is, though, Jets pretty good against the run. That's one of their better things. They're going to have to play well against the run because, Ron, do you happen to know who the worst pass defense in the AFC is?
I think
Jets.
It's the Jets, yeah.
289 yards per game they've given up through the air. Can Ryan Tannehill beat you? I don't know. But I'm not willing to bet against them here. The Jets have just been a mess. They can't score. It's the same old issues for the Jets. Can't score. And unlike other years, they can't really hang on that defense because the defense hasn't been very good. Ryan Fitzpatrick, also, in the second half of games this year, 10 interceptions to 1 touchdown.
Jets last in the league in turnover margin, so that's never a good thing either.
Yeah, I'm going to keep riding with Miami. I off a bye. I think it's the bye kind of came at a bad time for the Dolphins just because they hadn't been playing well. But I'm not another team that I'm not really interested in backing is the Jets. They've just I'm not interested. The Jets have 2 turnovers a game on offense at least.
Yeah,
I'm going to go Miami.
I like Miami. Miami actually, I never thought I would say this, but Miami's actually, I really like this play, actually. I think a lot of people still have that kind of taste in their mouth with Miami that they're just not a good football team, which I would agree with. But the thing I look at in this matchup, I think is an X factor, is Miami has been at home since the last day of September. They're in the midst of playing 4 straight home games with a bye thrown in there. So they've been, you figure, what's today's date, Jeff? The 6th?
6th of November.
The 6th of November. They've been at home since the last day of September. So over a month this team's been home. So, they've been getting the home cooking. They've been, getting the haven't had to travel. Have been sleeping well, I'm sure. So, all that kind of, I think, is an X factor in this game. And the Jets they're just a mess. They don't back their quarterback. The quarterback doesn't back ownership. He wanted so much money this offseason, and he's played like absolute dog shit. They were down last week to Cleveland and had to make a comeback against them, or they possibly lose to the worst team in football. I know they stopped the run well, but, Tannehill shows glimpses at times. So, yeah, Sean Laramie Tunsil has played well as expected. He should have been a top 3-4 pick.
What a steal they got there with him.
Just because he smokes a little weed. So,
who cares?
I like Miami in this game. I like Miami a lot in this game, actually. I have no faith backing the Jets.
I think this Miami team is a buy into now. Later in the year, I'm probably not going to be as interested in them just because they're going to have a lot of road games.
Jets beat the Ravens, the Browns, and the Bills. 3 teams that, Bills kind of played okay there for a stretch, but 3 teams that, aren't going to really strike any fear in you. And, the Dolphins, they're playing pretty well while they beat Buffalo, Pittsburgh over their last 2. So.
And again, at the end of the day, the Jets are the worst pass defense in the NFL,
right.
Or the NFC. Or the AFC at least. So
Dolphins have some playmakers too on the outside. Jarvis Landry,
right.
And
can anyone?
Parker,
can you really trust Fitzpatrick? I mean,
no, I can't at all.
What do we like? Over or under? Neither. I'm not interested in the total in this game at all. I would look only to the side here in Miami. Next one, 1:00 Eastern. Steelers -3 at the Ravens. Over under 46.5. Ryan, they are being extremely cryptic about what's going on with Ben Roethlisberger, and I'm going to tell you right now, he's not going to play in this game. This is a clear.
I disagree. Jeff. If you look at the line movement over the last 10 hours or so, it points in the favor that he's playing.
No, because I'm going to tell you what the line movement is indicative of. It's the fact that he's maybe going to play, and the public is all over the Steelers in this game. This is a Ravens win here, and I'm going to tell you why, Ryan. He's not going to play in this game. Why wouldn't they just come out and say it? What are they being so cryptic about?
Not sure.
They're trying to get a lot of Steeler money in. I'm going to tell you, this is how the books work. They're getting a lot of Steeler money in because Ben might play. Even if he does, I don't give a shit. He hasn't been very good on the road.
He's active today, so there's that news in right now.
Okay,
Schefter's breaking that right now. Ben Roethlisberger's active. I can't imagine him being active and not playing. So
well, there you go. Whatever. Either or. I'm taking the Ravens here. This Ravens team, 80% of the money's on the Steelers, Ryan. They got all the money in on the Steelers, as you've indicative, and you pointed out in the move there. But this Steelers team on the road, Ryan, 18 points a game. That's win with Ben again.
Sure.
Look at what they did in Philly. Didn't do anything.
No, I know.
Defensively, they've been bad. That didn't. Can Ben go play on the defensive side of the ball? Baltimore. This team is very good defensively, Ryan. We're starting to see the old guard come in for the Baltimore Ravens. They're best in the league against the run. They're also the 5th best pass defense in the NFL. They've won 4 or 5 against the Steelers. And Ryan, what's the constant trend with the Ravens? Close games. They don't really get blown out. This is a rivalry game. Public all over the Steelers. I like the Ravens in this game. I think this is a grind-out game, and I'm going to go with the Ravens here, +3 at home. Public's all over the Ravens. 74% of the money's on the Steelers.
The Ravens haven't been good ATS team. They've lost 4 in a row ATS. With a push prior to that. They've been good defensively, but they've been kind of a byproduct, I think, of a schedule where the offenses they've played this year, Jets, Buffalo, Cleveland, Jacksonville, a couple teams in there that aren't anything special. Had some good performances against Oakland and Washington. 2 losses, though. So, I really don't have much on this game. If Ben plays, how effective will he be is the question too. I think they'll give the ball a lot to Le'Veon Bell today if they were smart, which is something they should do.
If you like the Ravens in this game, I would wait because this news coming in is going to drive that line up.
I'll side with the Ravens partially, but this is really a game I just have zero interest in. Usually when these 2 teams play too, they're close games. So they're field goal games. I remember last year in one of their Sunday night or Monday night games, they had a stat where a high percentage of the games are within 3 or 4 points. So I guess I'll lean Ravens.
Again, I would wait on this line. It's 11:35. I would wait till 1:45 to play this one. This Ravens team will not attract a lot of money. Steelers will get money with this news coming in. Wait on the Ravens and buy at 4 or 4.5. Ravens have allowed 3 rushing touchdowns. Wow. Yeah, they're really good against the run. They're 3rd best in the AFC.
Haven't played very many good running backs.
Or 1st in the AFC.
So,
but Ryan,
interesting to see what they do today against Le'Veon Bell, who.
I heard that whole thing with Green Bay, too, how they hadn't played anyone.
Right, and you use that example.
Yeah, but now they're starting, they're still number 1. That hasn't changed. So, we'll side with the Ravens here. I think it's a good fade to public play, Ryan.
Okay.
I think that's going to be this is going to be your bloodbath of the day, I feel like. Ben, like you said, how effective is he going to be here? and he's not been that good on the road anyway. Too many mistakes. Next one. Let's go to the 4 o'clock games, Ryan. Actually, some decent 4 o'clock games this week.
There's 4 o'clock
Yeah,
games today,
and
after only 2 last week.
It's probably going to be decently interesting. This one, though, I'm not as interested in. 4 or 5, Saints minus 4.5 against the 49ers. Saints attracting a lot of money as well. A lot of people buying low on the 49ers. Over under 53. Niners 1-6 this year. How long will Chip Kelly last?
Saying he has no interest in going back to college. Schefter reported again this morning that he's hell bent on staying in the NFL or nothing.
Which I don't get with Chip, because I think I thought he was a great coach in the college ranks. I mean, we all know he was. I think he could go back to Oregon.
There were several reports,
hands out.
Several reports that he didn't really enjoy college. He didn't like the recruiting
I get the
thing
feeling
and all
with
that
him,
kind
he
of
doesn't
stuff.
enjoy much of anything.
Oh, I'm just saying.
He's just a sour guy.
But I would
you know?
agree. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would enjoy going to a recruit's home and trying to sell the program. He doesn't strike me as a kid that would want, as a guy that would want to do that.
I felt like when I saw him, he seemed like happy almost with Oregon. I don't know. To me, though, I would never leave Oregon. I feel like it's a great program to be in, and
Reports out last night too that apparently Phil Knight, who is I think 78 or something like, he's an old timer right now. Apparently, there's talks that he's willing to throw out about $10 million a year to a head coach to try to get them a championship.
Oh, he's sick of it. He's sick of what's going on.
Just an interesting little tidbit.
I mean, you imagine what's going on in his head right now. This team is terrible, Oregon. But back to the real.
Yeah, we digress here. So.
Yeah, Saints saying 4.5. I've talked about it with the Falcons, Ryan, and we've been dead on the money with the Falcons. As a favorite, the Falcons are not a bettable team.
Right.
They're just not. Same might go with the Saints. This team's 0-2 this year as a favorite, and they're 6-16 over the last 3 years as a favorite.
Yep.
They're laying 4.5 here. Now you gotta take Drew Brees out of the dome, which we know he's dominating at, and take him on the road. And we know he's not the same player on the road. These teams are both bad against the spread. They both give up 30 points a game on defense. Saints are high flying, yes, but I think the one saving grace for the 49ers is they play decent at home. I know that this team's bad, though, at the end of the day. They're the worst rush defense in the NFL. I'm going to go over 53 here. I think both these teams, I think the Niners are good for 20+, and I think the Saints will score into the 30s. It's hard to back the Saints, though. A lot of people on them. They're not good as a favorite. I'm not interested in them on the side here. I'm not. Because this game could very well fall 27-24.
It's a shame. I wish there was more public on the Niners here, and I wish that line kind of came down a little bit because even with the ATS numbers as a favorite, I kind of like the Saints in this spot. But then I kind of think the one thing that San Francisco doesn't do very well at all is stop the run, and obviously
they're the worst in the league.
And obviously, we know the Saints aren't a running team with Drew Brees and everything, and how he is on the road. Another thing too is the Saints really get a couple key players defensively back for this ball game. In cornerback, Delvin Bro, I believe is his last name, who broke his fibula. He'll be back, and who else is back? I forget. They get someone else back. I can't remember. But nonetheless, get some key pieces back there. So there were some things there that kind of made me like the Saints. But I'll agree. If to the over, I'll agree with, I should say. If what's his face was still the quarterback for Blaine Gabbert. I can't even remember the guy's name. He's so bad. If Blaine Gabbert was still the quarterback, I would really want nothing to do with this game. But with Colin Kaepernick there, he gives you a little bit of some dynamic playmaking ability. And against a Saints defense who is nothing special, I'll side with the over as well in this game. No Carlos Hyde today for the Niners, so that worries me a little bit. But we'll just kind of bank, I guess, on the Saints defense being bad. But I kind of would slight lean to New Orleans, but their numbers ATS as a favorite I can't really get along with.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really. Again, the Niners, you're just not really wanting to back. I mean, Chip Kelly's been even lately just a terrible win-loss coach.
He stinks.
Yeah, I mean, and
plus he comes to this. He
Kaepernick,
leaves Philly, and he comes to this team who has nothing.
Right.
I mean, they have nothing.
No Carlos Hyde either. Kaepernick, again, I mean, he's just kind of just been very average. Their defense is terrible. Worst rush defense in the league. I'll go over here in this one. Next one, 405. Panthers -3 at LA, over under 45. Panthers are 2-5, Ryan. they have to win this game. I mean, this game, I know it's
They have to win every game.
right, but this is a game you just can't lose.
Especially with Atlanta taking off the way they are.
Right, exactly. This Rams defense has had issues lately. Last 3 games, giving up 26 points a game. And you also look at the Rams on offense. Case Keenum, 10 interceptions and 8 touchdowns. So he has more interceptions than touchdowns. And Todd Gurley, I mean, what has happened to this guy? I mean, last year he was a dynamic player. They thought he was turning into Barry Sanders.
It's funny, in the first half of this, I didn't really understand. I'll be honest, I know it's easy to say now, but seriously, and I really want to know part of him when it came to fantasy and whatnot. He wasn't even a thought for me, although he's going top 3 in almost every league. I didn't get the hype with him this year, really. I mean, he started off the year good last year, but if you look at the second half of the league and of the year last year and then this year, he's just been non-existent.
57 yards per game.
There you go.
And now you face a Panthers team that has been elite against the run. I mean, not only this year, but last year. 80 yards per game they've given up, Ryan. And last week they held David Johnson to 24 yards and 10 carries. 2.4 yards per carry. Very good. This is not going to get easier for a Rams offense that has struggled. This Panther team, 30 points a game on the road. I think the only shot for the Rams here would be that Case Keenum just has one of those unbelievable days because we all know that the Panthers' pass defense is bad. I mean, they give up 8.5 yards per play. But, look, I liked what I saw from the Panthers last week. I actually liked the Arizona Cardinals last week. Panthers wouldn't allow them to come back into the game. Right, at certain points it was a 10-point game.
Yep.
But Cardinals just beat themselves with long yardage situations and bad penalties. I like the Panthers in this game. It is a public side, but I have a hard time backing them here, the Rams.
This is going.
I don't know what you get excited about.
I know, but this is going to be a wash play.
How? How do you back the Rams?
I think this is a
really
classic spot of overreaction where people see Carolina last week just pretty much pound.
But Ryan, they're
pound
2-5.
I know, but who?
The Panthers.
Exactly.
I don't think
I think they are what their record is. I'll be honest. I don't think Carolina is a very good team. Not saying Los Angeles is a very good team either. But I think it's a classic overreaction when people say 3 points. I only got to lay 3 points on the road here with a Carolina team coming off an absolute ass whipping of a bad Arizona team who is showing their true colors. And look, they just don't have it this year for whatever reason. Carson Palmer's not playing real well. So for that, I think that this, and you said classic public side with Carolina here. I would slightly lean to LA here. I don't have much on the total, but at the end of the day, Carolina's defense isn't anything special. You kind of hit the nail on the head last week. And that's what they tend to do, too. They tend to let teams come back into games. The only reason that game got away from them early is because Palmer was careless with the football and so many penalties from Arizona. That game just got away from them super early. So I'm still not a believer in Carolina. And Cam Newton's more worried about whining to Roger Goodell than playing football, it seems like. So I was slightly leaning to the Rams. We seem to have a wash play every week, Jeff. This is going to be one of them.
Yeah, as far as the total's concerned here, though, I would probably look over. I mean, this Rams team's not played well on the defensive side lately. We know Carolina will give points up. And, look, Carolina's, at the end of the day, will score points. 45s, I think, is a little bit of an overreaction to the Rams might be good on defense. But, yeah, I guess it would be a wash here. I'm kind of happy in a way it's a wash because I don't really.
Yeah.
I'm not in love with the play anyway.
No.
I'm not going to be betting it anyway. So.
Breaking news: Roethlisberger will start today. So.
Well, that's fine.
I'm cementing that. I'm just making people aware.
Yeah, and that's fine because I think I want the number to keep moving. I'm going to go with the Ravens anyway. So wash on that one. You like the Rams. I like the Panthers. I would just probably not bet that game.
I agree. I have no interest in that game at all.
425. This is a tough one. I had a tough time coming up with a play in this game, but I'll give it out with bated breath. Packers -7 against the Colts. Over under 53. Lambeau 425. Ryan. This is kind of where the Packers thrive in this spot. Problem is, I mean, their secondary is depleted. They're facing a guy named Andrew Luck who, look, I think.
What number did you give?
A 7.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure you didn't give 7.5. Okay.
Yeah. I think one saving grace here is you have to figure neither team's going to run the ball very often in this game, I don't think. Both teams struggle to run the ball, especially the Colts. But Eddie Lacy not in there. James Starks has been hobbled as well. So the difference here, though, for me, is going to be the Packers are much better defensively than one might think. Indianapolis just sucks defensively. Okay, we all know that. They suck. They give up 29 points a game. They can't stop anybody. But, Ryan, I was surprised to learn that the Green Bay Packers, fourth in the NFL in total net yards allowed per game, 322. So they bend but don't break.
Yeah.
They give up big plays from times, but they don't allow touchdowns.
It's funny, they're not having the greatest year. I know a lot of national people are kind of wondering what's wrong with them, but they're doing a good job ATS. They're 5-2 ATS, so they got that going for them, which is what we care about on this show.
Yeah, the Colts, again, they just kind of went out, score you in a game, but you got to go on the road here. You don't have you have no weapons on defense. You don't really have that many weapons on offense either. Just kind of a lot of, decent player. I mean, T.Y. Hilton and those kind of guys. They don't have any sort of run game either. I just think this is a game where the Packers thrive. I mean, they just kind of seem to win, 31, 20 or something, and kind of get out of there. It's tough to go into Lambeau and win. It's going to be cold there, you would think. Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson playing well. I think the Packers throw early and often. I'm going to go with them here.
Yeah, dude, they should have a field day here. Maybe you look Green Bay team total over too if you like this spot. I know a lot of people in the chat box talking about some props as far as over Aaron Rodgers and passing yards and stuff like that. So maybe you look, if you think that Green Bay is going to score some points, maybe you look there as a side play or the play in this game. Yeah, I would go Green Bay as well, man. Just for how bad Indy is defensively and how bad we thought they were going to be coming into this game or into this season, and it's really kind of just carried over to what everyone thought. And you wonder how Indy could kind of go into this season and the last couple seasons with just wasting Andrew Luck. I mean, they got a gift in Andrew Luck, who I still think is a good quarterback, maybe was a little overhyped at the beginning of his career, but they're just wasting him. I mean, they have no talent really around him. Defensively, he's a joke. And T.Y. Hilton's banged up. He injured his hamstring last year. What does T.Y. Hilton like to do? And he likes to get vertical with that hamstring. The acceleration and the burst may not be there today. So this should be one of those classic relaxed games that Rodgers likes to talk about. I would go Green Bay for sure in this game, Jeff.
Yeah, agreed. 425. Chargers -3.5 against the Titans, over under 47. Ryan, 23 years since the Tennessee Titans have won in San Diego.
Wow.
I mean, whether it's the Tennessee Titans, the Houston Oilers, whoever, they cannot win in the city by the ocean there. I think they call it. Or something like that. San Diego. No, that's what they call it.
The city by the ocean?
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
I believe that's what they call it. And it's also around, we talked about the maligned issues with the Titans against the spread. I mean, 10-28 to the number.
Yep.
Against conference opponents in 28 games over the last 3 years, Ryan, 5-23 against the spread. They are good running the ball, though. The Tennessee Titans, DeMarco Murray and those guys, I think 7 games with over 100 yards rushing. So, I mean, they're getting the job done on the ground. But, both these teams can't stop the pass. Tennessee's defense, 33 plays of 20 yards or more, second most in the NFL. 5 overs in a row for the Titans. San Diego, 31 points a game at home. San Diego's covered 8 of 10 against Tennessee. I'm going to go over in this game, 47. I just think both these teams kind of back and forth. I think San Diego will have the upper hand as far as, look, Tennessee doesn't go on the road and win ever in San Diego. They should get the job done. I'm going to go over 47, though.
Yeah, that's kind of the direction I would lean looking at a total here. Maybe if you like a side, you look at one particular ATS trend. You talk about Tennessee not being able to really cover, really.
This one actually
really
up to 4.
Not
right?
at all.
Up
Okay.
to -4.
Not being able to cover at all. Not being able to cover as an underdog, where they're 9-23 ATS their last 3 years. A pretty amazing ATS trend for San Diego is against AFC South opponents. So, okay, that's Jacksonville, Tennessee, Houston, and Indy. Okay, they're 26-4 ATS over their last 30 meetings against that division. That's remarkable. So maybe you see that trend and you say, hey, maybe I'll just blind bet this just as far as a good trend for San Diego. But I like the over as well. Everyone kind of says, I have Phillip Rivers, and I've kind of been spot starting him with Matt Stafford in one of my leagues, and he just continues to put up numbers. I mean, he doesn't have like the greatest weapons. So many of his weapons have been taken from him via injury, but he just continues to put up points, and this team continues to kind of just score, and you wonder kind of how they do it. So I'll stay with the over as well. Tennessee really can't stop anyone. Mariota has played very well as of late against a banged up San Diego defense. Points should be scored here in this matchup.
Yeah, agreed. I think this is like a 30-24 type of game. It kind of gets pretty high scoring. And, look, I mean, the Chargers have to start winning games late.
What's the number? 47. 47. I mean, you look at so many of San Diego's. Look at both of these teams' games. I mean, really, they're just very high scoring. And 47, I think, is relatively low.
Right. No, I agree. Sunday night game, Ryan. Oakland, pick 'em against Denver. Look, this one's short and sweet for me. Oakland 0-3 at home against the spread, 6-12 over the last 3 years. Denver, again, just continues to cover numbers. They covered 6 of 8. And for me, this one's all about defense. Denver, 17 points a game. Oakland at home giving up 31 points a game. Is Oakland ready to compete, Ryan, at this level?
I think we'll find out tonight.
It's going to be a huge game for them because I don't think they've had a game like this in a while in Oakland.
No, not at all.
I mean, when was the last time they've hosted a Sunday night game?
I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, I can't remember.
I know.
The obvious, electric will be in there. I'll tell you what, though. I'm not a big fan of this quarterback situation for Denver. I'm not into Trevor Siemian at all. I'm not confident that they can score points, but this is going to be all about who can establish their tempo. I mean, is it going to be Denver drag-out defensive type of game, or is Oakland going to be able to throw the football? You know what? I'm going to go with Oakland here. I think Oakland wins. I think this team kind of makes up for their defensive issues and kind of shows that they're not a team to be fucked around with at home.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of if Oakland can take that next step against a team that's kind of owned the division over the last handful of years, obviously won the Super Bowl last year, and Oakland coming off a hard-fought overtime win last week where they set a record for penalties. They doesn't matter who their head coach is. This team always has trouble with penalties. If that happens again tonight, I really worry about them against Denver. But the last couple weeks, I guess the offense and for Denver has kind of got it back a little bit after that awful Thursday night game against San Diego. But I don't know. Part of me wants to take Oakland and say, hey, maybe this is finally their year, and they have something in Derek Carr and Amari Cooper. Yeah, that's going to be a combo for the next 10 years. They're talking about extending Derek Carr after this season. Defensively, they're nothing special, but Trevor Siemian has looked really just like a 7th-round pick, which is what he was, or whatever draft pick he was. I'll go Oakland. I'll buy the hype a little bit, but not a game I'm in love with, Jeff, really at all.
Yep, agreed. This is a total toss-up.
It is a toss-up.
But
the line says.
I like the fact that they're hosting the game. They haven't hosted a game in a while.
Some energy there.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. All right, so our plays today, Ryan, let's wrap them up. I'm going to leave off that Panther-Ram game because we can't say
yeah, we'll just throw that away.
Oakland pick, Titans over 47, Packers -7, over 53, Saints Niners, Raven +3, Miami -4, Cowboys -7, Eagles +3, Chiefs -7, Lions Vikings under 42. I like those plays, Ryan. I think we have a nice upper hand.
Yeah.
On week 9. Ryan, before we get into a little bit of college, a little bit of recap, the next time we are on the air, we will have a new president of the United States. And I got to tell you, I'm very excited for Tuesday. I'm really looking forward. I'm a big political guy.
Quick question before we get into this.
Yeah.
You're a big political guy.
Yeah.
I'm not so much. Maybe this is a stupid question, but I always wonder this, and I'm not sure if it's different every year or if it's the same. When is the official announcement? Like, when do we know?
We'll know Tuesday night.
So it's Tuesday
most
night.
Likely, yeah.
Likely.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was that night, or I couldn't remember if it was like the next day.
Unless there's some sort of issues like with Gore and George Bush, where there's some. Look, Donald Trump's made it clear he's not going to concede to a decision. He thinks that if he loses, there's something behind the scenes going on. And again, I want to preface that, but we'll know Tuesday night who's the president. the Electoral College, that sort of thing.
Yes.
But we're going to know. And, I'm interested because I followed this election. I watch CNN, and different news agencies constantly. I watch these rallies and look, it's no secret that I don't like Donald Trump. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I think we're in a disastrous sort of realm if he becomes the president. And I think national security is at a high level I think he's the biggest threat to this national security. I don't think ISIS, I think he's the biggest threat, personally. But Ryan, I ask, obviously, I've made it no secret who I'm voting for. You just don't care. I think
it's not that I don't.
I think it's a shame though because
I just am not a big fan of.
Well, Pennsylvania though, your vote is important.
I hear you,
but I hear what you're saying.
I'll tell you what though. I'll tell you if
you're not voting for Trump.
I'm not, no, that's the thing. I think the lesser evil here would be Hillary, and I think that at least she has some sort of idea on how to be the president.
Right, her identity's there.
Her identity is there. She has her background is there. Donald Trump just.
He has no.
I really. It's funny. You have no problem describing him and explaining how you feel about them. It's hard for me to put into words the feelings I have for Donald Trump because I think he's just so idiotic. And if you listen to Bryan Cranston had a great interview. Bryan Cranston, a person that I really enjoy listening to speak, and I obviously listen.
If you don't know, Bryan Cranston, Breaking Bad, he was in
Malcolm
Walter
in the Middle
White,
when we were younger.
Yeah. Good actor.
He's a good actor, and he actually. His kind of rant, not even a rant, it was very calm and very well thought out, I thought, and very well spoken. His description of how he felt about Donald Trump, I thought, really hit the nail right on the head.
As a human being, there is absolutely no excuse. There's no reason to vote for Donald Trump. If you're a nice person, you're a caring human being, there's zero reason to vote for Donald Trump. None at all. He's a bully, he's a destructible human being, and he's going to ruin this country. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He has no plans. He has no capable option to make the plans happen. Half of his party wants nothing to do with him. There's no viable reason. Wipe the fucking smoke from your eyes and get real. If you back Donald Trump, you're basically you're following a cult leader. You're buying in and drinking the Kool-Aid of a cult leader. And he's going to get absolutely destroyed on Tuesday. He's never led the polls. Yep. He has constantly said that he hasn't. He has not led the polls at all.
My thing with
on Tuesday we're going to see that.
My big thing with Donald Trump is, and I've said it since the debates have happened, is he doesn't answer questions.
No.
And that's my big thing with him is he kind of just talks in circles, and that's my big thing. It's like instead of just belittling and kind of pounding Hillary, just at least give us some sense of idea what you're going to do. And
but even his campaign run has been clearly just awful. I mean, if you're his campaign manager, why don't you say to him, listen, shut the fuck up and stop responding to her. Stop feeding into her. He can't do it.
That's what he is.
And what do you think he's going to do when he's got a world leader that he has to... I mean,
I know.
How can you trust this guy with anything that's worth anything?
Yep.
Donald Trump is going to go back to his, B-list life, back to hosting Celebrity Apprentice, and we're not going to hear about him again. Right? I want to end this with one point. Another point that I just feel tramples on the black community, and I'm sick of it. Constantly we hear about Black Lives Matter and how they're a terrorist organization. They're dangerous. How come we did not hear one goddamn word about this guy in Iowa that killed 2 police officers? 2. All because he thought that they weren't taking enough initiative to arrest black teens for kneeling during a national anthem. He murdered, cold blood, 2 police officers, and Donald Trump has not said a goddamn word about it. CNN has not covered it a goddamn bit. Why aren't we hearing about it? Because he's white. He's a flag-toting motherfucker that hates minorities because they're black. That's why. And I'm sick of this racist bullshit on the news where all we hear about is how blacks are bad, they're heathens. I'm sick of it. The white people in this country are as dangerous as it can get. And it shows right here, Rudy Giuliani and these puppets in the Republican Party, we've not heard one thing about this. Why? Because he's a flag-toting Donald Trump supporter. That's exactly why. And Tuesday, I can't wait to see this arrogant scumbag lose his ass.
Last thing I'll say about it, I'll be glad when all this is over. I mean, really, this has been one of the worst kind of elections in recent memory for me. I'll just be really happy when this is in the rearview mirror, and that's all I have to say is I will come Tuesday night, Monday morning. I will kind of exhale and give out a little kind of celebratory yell that this is over. So that's the last thing I'll say about it. So,
I just with the shooting in South Carolina with this Dylan Roof kid shot all these black people in a church. This guy, we haven't heard anything about it. It just goes to the wayside. Yeah. But when it's a black person doing it, it's all we hear about.
Yeah,
it's all we hear about. It's sickening. But Ryan, I'm voting. I'm not voting Trump. Put it that way.
Sure.
Let's root our girl Hillary in to the White House. Next one. Let's talk about college football, Ryan, quickly.
Yep.
And then we'll move on and end the show. Week 10 was kind of boring, if you ask me. That Alabama game again. If you've bought into the LSU Kool-Aid, shame on you.
A lot of people did.
Because
a lot of people did.
I think we again see why Alabama's the best team in the league. That vaunted Alabama or that vaunted LSU offense didn't do anything. Couldn't score a goddamn point. So is Ed Orgeron the savior? Probably not. But
exactly.
I think I might have said on the show the other night that I don't know how you back Alabama or back LSU here.
Right.
They didn't play to anybody. You finally play a real team, you don't cover and you lose at home.
Yeah, it's pretty. I don't want to. It was embarrassing for LSU, but you also have to look at Alabama and give them credit for kind of battling and keeping that offense under wraps and really just limiting them what they can do offensively, because the second play of the game is an interception for Alabama, and that really could have the crowd's in the game, that Death Valley is really rocking. Credit Alabama and that coaching staff for keeping everything together and getting out of there with a win. So.
One thing on LSU that is a nice thing to see, Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu both donated $1 million to the program. Good for them.
I'll tell you what,
good group of guys.
I forget what game I was watching. It was actually the Michigan game. And Brian Griese was talking about Jabril Peppers. And if you don't know about Jabril Peppers, he had a rough kind of childhood. His dad goes to prison when he's young. His brother gets murdered for being affiliated with, just the wrong side of the street and all that kind of stuff. But Jabril Peppers said, look, I'm not going to get involved with this. I'm going to go in the right direction. And ultimately, Brian Griese was like, hey, this is a great story for kids to look at and say, ultimately, it's your choice on what decision you want to make and what road you want to go down. And Tyrann Mathieu, I think, is at the head of that list. What this kid was doing in college and just all the mistakes he was making. Now look at him. He's donating $1 million to LSU, to a program that kicked him off the team. And a school that dismissed him, and he donated $1 million. If you want to, and so many people need to look at themselves in the mirror, but look at what Tyrann Mathieu has done as a human being, and I think it's just beautiful. I think it's beautiful what he's doing.
You can either go negative or go positive. We all have our own choice. Right?
That's what I just said. It's your decision. That. It's ultimately your decision. I'm sick of people saying they blame their upbringing, or they blame that they have no parents, or they blame that they're addicted to drugs. It's your decision to make your life better. And kudos to Tyrann Mathieu for doing that.
By the way, Leonard Fournette, that all-encompassing greatest running back in the NFL or the college ranks or in the world, 35 yards.
Second year in a row, he's limited.
Yeah, because he's not that good. That's why. He's not that good. He dominated Eastern Michigan and Jacksonville State. That's why.
Oh, he's a good player. But,
he's not that good, actually.
He's taking on the best defense in the country. So
yeah, and he didn't do shit.
Right. Well, yeah, but you can't.
Back to that again. We hear every year he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. What did he do last year? Nothing.
I don't think you can take. He's still a good player, but nobody has success against Alabama, man.
Sometimes we should break down how good he is against good competition.
But I know, but I'm just saying no one has success against Alabama.
7 starting quarterbacks, Ryan, went out yesterday from high-profile teams, including. How you thought the Texas A&M Aggies were the 4th best team in the country? A thing you co-signed, Ryan, by the way. I'm not throwing you in
the only reason I co-signed is because they played a tougher schedule than Washington.
I knew you did.
Did I think that they would shit the bed against Mississippi State and lose?
And I think we're starting to see how poor these ranking systems are. I mean, they're just a joke. And Washington...
Well, the SEC gets love.
How about Washington last night? 66 points. They're going to be in there at number 4 this week.
You would think.
But Trevor Knight goes out.
Yep.
He was dreadful. He went out. And they lose to Mississippi State, which, look, I get not covering or whatever, but you lose outright to a team that's lost to South Alabama and gave up 41 points to Samford
last week.
Not Stanford.
Yeah, Samford.
Samford.
Yep.
The Bulldogs.
Yep.
I mean, that's brutal. Texas A&M stinks. They couldn't get a stop.
That's a joke. That's embarrassing, and that's embarrassing.
First one, they had a loss, by the way, too. They shouldn't have been
not
in there
only
anyway.
for A&M, but it's embarrassing for the SEC, where they kind of get that free pass that they seem to always get and get a team, a second team put into the college football.
Well, it could
playoff.
happen again.
And then you come out and you say, "Hey guys, look, we're obviously going to have a target on us now because we're the fourth-ranked team in the country. Let's," and they go and
I'll tell you what,
perform like that.
I'm about sick of this SEC. Auburn's a fucking joke. They're a wolf in sheep's clothing. LSU's time and time again shown that. Texas A&M another joke. I mean, how good? What's so great
Florida,
about this?
they got pounded.
Yeah, what's so great about this? Tennessee's been a mess. What's so great about this conference?
I hear you.
Really? I mean, what's so great about it?
Over the last decade, they've been a good conference.
Alabama has done it,
but
not
I think,
them.
but well,
LSU once in a while, Auburn maybe.
They've been a good conference, but I just think this year really they're starting to come back down to earth, and I think really you're seeing the Big Ten take over as I think the best conference in football.
Deshaun Watson went out. He would have probably come back if it was a close game, but again, Syracuse loses their quarterback. Tough break for the Orange.
That's
because,
it right there.
You know, Eric Dungy goes out, and there goes their offense.
Yeah.
Clemson, another luck box win, though they did roll. Tommy Armstrong, scary scene there, but look, he's okay, and I don't have a problem saying this. Tommy Armstrong, it's amazing that he's gotten worse at quarterback since his first year.
Have I not said forever
wild.
that he's bad? Have I not said forever
No,
that he's not
you
good?
have. And
have I not said forever, Jeff, that Nebraska's a joke year in and year out?
No.
And I don't understand why they keep getting built up, and I can't understand why they're the 10th ranked team in the country.
Yeah,
that's why the ranking system is a joke.
Right. Well, we've talked about that before.
I mean, it's
I don't give a
laughable.
flying fuck
It's
about the
laughable.
rankings. I know you watch it just because you like Michigan, but I don't
Right.
even watch it because I think it's irrelevant to me. But yeah, Tommy Armstrong. Yeah, I mean, he's just been the same quarterback. And look, I don't think if he's in there, I think they still lose.
They still lose big.
horribly.
62-3. I
Yeah,
mean, 62-3.
that's-
That's a top
But
10.
but
That's a
I-
top 10 matchup, a quote unquote top 10.
But
matchup.
I also don't really put a lot of stock in the win. Really, I mean, does that really make Ohio State any better? I mean, they're still not in the rankings.
It's a good sign for Ohio State that they kind of got the downfield passing game figured out a little bit. Excuse me. And offensively, they clicked some, but you know. I don't think it'll be enough. I don't think some people are wondering if that will jump them to number 4. I don't think so. I think Washington will be number 4, and they'll probably. Well,
what's a better
maybe
win?
Maybe they move up to number 5. I don't know.
What's a better win? You beat Nebraska without their quarterback, or Cal with their starting quarterback? What's a better win on the road? Cal.
Look, you know how I feel about Washington, dude. You know that they haven't played anyone. They haven't. I mean, you like to talk about teams. You like to talk about teams not playing anyone. That is Exhibit A.
I mean, Ryan, no offense.
That's Exhibit A,
you
B,
can
and
make
C
that
about
case
teams that
about
haven't played
every
anyone.
team.
But them in particular, they haven't played nobody.
Neither
Except for
Michigan
Utah.
or Ohio State.
But they've played better teams than what Washington.
Well, whatever. Either way.
But I'm saying Washington run the table and they're in. But Louisville, to me, is the X factor here. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them because Washington, Ohio State, and Louisville are the 3 teams as of now that are battling for that 4th spot. And week after week, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Michigan beats the West Baltimore YMCA yesterday, 58-3.
59. Don't shice them.
Okay. Perry Hills goes out. How did it feel to beat a YMCA? Good stuff.
Well, that's what Michigan
And not
does.
for nothing, they get another cakewalk next week against the Iowa Hawkeyes, who
Coming into the year, a night game at Iowa looked to be a pretty tough match.
Talk about the Hawkeyes, by the way. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't have them yesterday. I did. I gave them out as a free play on the show. I actually thought Penn State would struggle to score against that vaunted defense that had only given up 6 rushing touchdowns all year.
Yep.
But Penn State delivered. They got the job done. And do you believe in the Nittany Lions just yet?
Do I believe in the Nittany Lions?
Are they a top 10 team?
Look,
I guess in the rankings they will be because they fall in love with the Nittany
They're going to
Lions.
be a top 10 team
Because they overanalyze
Tuesday,
the Iowa Hawkeyes. They're not any good.
Well, they're not. They're not very good. I think they've shown that they obviously showed that last night, and that's just kind of really cemented how they're just not a very good football team. But for me and Penn State, I think it's just a byproduct of when they beat Ohio State, everyone just lost their mind for whatever reason. And I think if I know you haven't seen it, but if you've seen the movie Batman: The Dark Knight with the Joker, and he uses that line, everyone loses their mind. That's what I think of with Penn State right now. Everyone is just really just drinking the Kool-Aid. That's a term you love to use, Jeff, drinking the Kool-Aid. Penn State, to me, the only win that they have on their schedule that I say, wow, that's a fantastic win, or that's even a respectable win, is that Penn State game. I mean, Kent State, Temple, okay, I'll give you Temple a little bit. Minnesota, Maryland, and Purdue and Iowa. There's really, Ohio State's the only game. This team lost to Pittsburgh and got pounded by Michigan. I just don't see this team as the 10th or a top 10 team or not even a top 15 team, in my opinion. So, sorry, I just don't see it.
Jim Grove, Baylor coach, concedes that distractions affected Baylor yesterday in their home loss to TCU.
Distractions are going to make you lose by 40.
You gave up 62 points to TCU. Now, by the way, TCU struggled to score on Texas Tech last week.
Correct.
I think Foster Sawyer played, from what I understand. I believe. But again, I know you're not an Art Browse fan, but he was very much publicized yesterday at the game. They sold T-shirts out front before the game, and also a luxury suite had an emblem with the hashtag CAB standing for Coach Art Briles.
Yes.
Didn't matter, though, because they got trounced by the TCU Horned Frogs, and that makes two straight losses. Jim Grove clearly not going to be.
Remember when Baylor was ranked number 8 last week?
Yes.
Pretty pathetic, if you ask me.
UCLA, another easy win against Oregon, setting up a big tilt next week. Can Sam Darnold do it? Can the kid do it?
Washington very fortunate this game's not in SoCal.
Yep.
It's in Washington. That really, I think, tips the scales a little bit in the favor of Washington. But the way USC is playing, man, I mean, in the beginning of the season, this team kind of looked lost. And like you said, Sam Darnold, how he's been doing, I mean, just week after week, continuing to grow, continuing to really kind of score points kind of at will. And it'll be interesting to see how Washington does against the athletes that USC has and Darnold on offense. So, interesting, probably the most interesting matchup next week, perhaps.
Quick nugget for sports bettors. If you didn't get on it, shame on you, because I keep telling you guys about it. Louisiana Tech continues to cover.
Yep.
I mean, I think 5th in a row they've covered.
Game went over, too?
Yes, game did.
Another over. Yep.
Yes.
So another cover/over parlay that you could have had.
Correct. So. Bad beat yesterday. Was there any? I'll take a bad beat. I'm going to tell you the bad beat.
I wasn't a part of any.
The bad beat yesterday, well, there were two in my eyes. If you had Kansas State on the money line.
Okay.
Or
True.
I mean.
True.
They have a 2-touchdown lead. With like 4 minutes left.
4 minutes left, something like
Oklahoma State manages to take the lead.
Yep.
And then first and goal from the 5, and Kansas State can't score.
Yep.
And I think last play of the game, they are short of the goal line and the time runs out.
Right.
Bill Snyder, a brutal loss at home yesterday. The other one was, if you had the over 56, Missouri South Carolina.
Yep.
That game was destined to go over. 35 points at half.
Exactly.
No one could stop either team.
I think Missouri might have missed 3 field goals.
Ryan, you were on it, and so was I. We were both on it.
Yeah, I gave out. That was one of my plays on the show that I gave out.
And it falls short of the number.
52.
To go over.
It was 52.
How about that?
Yeah. And Missouri has a chance at the end, a back door, and they don't get it done. They throw interceptions. Yeah, that was, if you had the over, exactly, at half, you're sitting pretty. So.
A guy that is not happy today, Rich Rodriguez, probably not going to have a job tomorrow. I don't know how Arizona can keep moving with him.
2-7.
They lose to, say, 69-7. Was Mike Leach sending a message there?
I think Mike Leach wants to send a message.
69-7.
Yeah.
By the way, last thing, Marshawn Lynch leads Cal out of the tunnel in the cart and almost hits the band.
That was hilarious.
I didn't see the video.
You haven't?
No.
That dude's like part of me doesn't like Marshawn Lynch because I think he's a fucking prick, and then the other half of me just thinks he's hilarious.
No, he is funny for sure.
That bobblehead they gave out last night with him on the cart, that's hilarious.
Last thing, Ryan, the team that where was I going with this?
I don't know. It's your idea.
Oh, by the way, the team that I think's for real,
okay,
in their conference, and I think. I mean, I got to get handed to them. Wyoming last night.
Yeah.
They're off a big win against Boise. They kill Utah State last night at home. How about that? How about Wyoming?
Yep.
They're 7-2. And they're going to challenge San Diego State. That's going to be a good game.
Looks like they're on track to get to the Mountain West title game. And
Brian Hill against Donald Pumphrey, two of the best running backs you haven't heard of. Who's going to outdo who? Two decent. I think San Diego State's much better on defense than Wyoming is, but. It's who's going to be able to move in that conference? Is it the same old San Diego State guard, or is it Wyoming?
Right. Yeah.
Wyoming, a new school.
Wyoming.
It's
is-
amazing
has
what
played
that
well.
coach has done there.
Yeah.
Last year, they were terrible. They were awful, Wyoming. Just brutal. This year, Craig Bowl, what a job he's done.
Yeah.
So good for them. Good for the Cowboys. So that's it, Ryan. Good stuff today. As always, hopefully we can continue to do well in the NFL. And we will be back Wednesday night with the Week 11 edition of the Big Man on Campus.
We're gonna have a Tuesday edition of the Bird's Eye View.
Oh yeah, that's right. Eagles show. We just started the last week, so first time. Yes, we will basically recap the Eagles game and what happened today on the show.
And look forward to next week. That's
Correct.
kind of what the premise
Correct.
of the show
If you're not
is.
an Eagle fan, don't listen. We don't care.
you don't need to.
We just like to chat about the Eagles.
Yeah.
And certain people listen.
Yeah.
So, everyone have a great night and enjoy Sunday in the NFL, Week 9. We'll be back Tuesday, Bird's Eye View podcast, breaking down the Eagles. Wednesday, we're back with the college football preview. And then next Sunday, we'll be back with Week 10 in the NFL. So, a lot to do. By the way, college basketball starts on Friday. How about that? A lot of out-of-conference views on teams. Be careful. Don't. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. There are guys that study these teams and guys that don't. We have to make some time for that, too. A lot to do.
Yeah, we do.
We had to make time for that. I did a future show, but we'll see. Either way. Everyone have a great day, and we'll be back next time on the Big Man on Campus. Have a great day. Bye-bye.